What's up everyone, I'm Sublight Drive, and my favorite Star Wars spaceship is the E-Wing. That might be an insane take, considering how many iconic Star Wars ships there are in the universe, but I just think it's neat. The E-Wing is a little weird in that it's never had a really consistent design. And I don't mean like Luke's X-Wing has a slightly more angular nose cone than Red Leader's, I mean like different depictions have totally different proportions and features. Anyway, it's getting its small screen debut in Ahsoka soon, or it already has if you're watching this in the future, so I figured I'd celebrate by making one for myself. I bought this X-Wing kit mainly thinking I would use the cockpit and the guns, but looking at all the bits, I think I can actually get away with using only pieces from this kit, plus of course my trusty styrene sheets. Speaking of styrene, I've gotten a lot of requests to go through my process of making my templates, so I'm going to walk through it more than I usually do. The software I like to use for this is Affinity Designer, which is a vector editing application like Adobe Illustrator. My first step is looking at some references. Here's the E-Wing's first ever appearance in the Dark Empire comic. Notice how the wings are pretty narrow and long, and the body has a smooth transition into the nose cone. The next major depiction was in your favorite book and mine, The Star Wars Essential Guide to Vehicles and Vessels. This orthogonal view is perfect for making a template, but check out how wide the wings are, and the more X-Wing-like lumpy nose. The Ahsoka E-Wing is a lot chunkier, and it ditches the top cannon in favor of an exposed astromech droid, which, like fair, the top cannon is goofy as all hell. The canopy also extends a lot further down the nose, basically halfway to the tip, which you'll note is back to being more of a smooth transition. Meanwhile, this toy I had when I was a kid is actually very faithful to the Essential Guide E-Wing, even matching a bunch of the panel lines pretty much one-to-one. But the wings are super stubby looking, and they apparently decided that the vent on the side here was actually just a decal, which like, how? It's even labeled as a vent right there. The new Essential Guide didn't change much from the original book, just added some color and perspective, so not much to say there. But the E-Wing made for the X-Wings Miniatures game is actually a nice middle ground between the Dark Empire and the Essential Guide versions, though it still has the stubby wings and the most X-Wingy nose yet. It's also limited by the fact that it's only about an inch long. The last version I found, and maybe the most distinct, is a sketch done by Doug Chang for something, I'm not sure what. It's got the narrowest wings of any design, even more so than the original, and a much sleeker nose. He also interpreted the notch on the aft section as more of a surface detail, which I actually really like, and his vents are the ventiest of all. So in short, I think it's safe to say that I've got a decent amount of creative leeway in designing my E-Wing. The first thing I'll do is just trace over the orthogonal view to get it started. From there, I want to adjust it a little bit until it looks more like the cross section I think I want. The end-on view in the Essential Guide is like way too narrow, but I'll use it as a starting point before I scale it up to fit what I want. Next, I'll just put together some wing shapes that I think will work out, and then I have to start thinking in 3D. I know I want the sides of the ship to be parallel along the back half, but for the nose to taper in towards the tip. So I'll slice it right behind the cockpit where the tapering begins, and then start to arrange the shape of the fuselage. It's basically just a rectangle and a long trapezoid, so I'll play with it until I like the shape, and then line it up with the sides. From there, I'll duplicate it so I've got a port and a starboard, and then I go to print to test out how it looks in paper. After the paper test, I wasn't quite satisfied with it, so I made a few adjustments to the proportions, making the nose a bit blunter and widening the wings. Once I was happy with that, I scaled it up a bit and then cut out a styrene prototype. This prototype lets me feel out what the added thickness of the styrene changes about it, since it's got a lot more dimension to it than just paper. I make a few more adjustments to compensate for that, and then go to print out the final draft. Anyway, I'll shut up and we can get back to our regularly scheduled build. And with that, the build is done. I hope you enjoyed watching as much as I did putting this project together. Restricting myself to just the pieces of the X-Wing kit was a fun constraint, and I think I could have gone even further with it if I tried. The wings, for instance, could have been kit-bashed instead of scratch-built, and if pressed, I probably could have used the clear Canopy as well. Overall, it was a fun project, and I'd like to try doing something with even more constraints in the future. As always, if you want to support the channel, you can find templates and instructions for building a model ship yourself on my Etsy, which I'll link below. It's the best way you can support my work, besides, of course, liking and subscribing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.